Hello, everybody. I hope you can hear me because it looks like my screen is frozen. But this is JJ Hardy and MK, and we're here on another episode of Tea Time Education. Oh, look, I'm not frozen anymore. Today we're going to talk about analysis paralysis. And by the way, we have had issues with social media the past 30 minutes. It's just one of those things. So we're sorry we're late, but how are you doing today, MK?
I am doing good. I am excited for the day and looking forward to this discussion.
Yeah,
It's going to be a good one.
Well, analysis paralysis. It's easy to get caught up in for a lot of reasons, but we'll go over those in just a second. But first, let's start off with defining it. So I have it pulled up on my other screen. So I'm still looking at you, but I'm looking over here. So analysis paralysis is overthinking decisions, endless research, and an inability to act. Wow.
Yeah.
That's why it's important to discuss it. What do you think about that, MK?
Yeah. So when I was also like looking into this and thinking on it, it was like it's one of those things too where you can get like you can overthink all of the different aspects and avenues and even research. Like you can just overdo it. It's just that like an endless cycle of being like what if. And so I think it's important to like do some of that, but then at some point you have to like have a cutoff point where you make the decision. And that can be very difficult.
What I've always told people is to be very careful when you're doing research because you can really end up going down a rabbit hole and get stuck at the bottom. And sometimes that can be your entire workday. Sometimes it can just be a couple of hours. Sometimes the research is necessary, but you really got to figure out the difference between what is necessary and what's not. I did do a podcast with somebody not long ago, and he brought up a very cool concept that I would like to kind of introduce since we're talking about this. And he said that when you're a business owner, you got to measure your activities. You're either making $100 or you are spending $100. And I think that's a great way to analyze this, because if you're not using your time properly, then you're losing your business money, especially if you're a solopreneur.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I think there also is like that fear factor too of when it comes to making, because like our businesses mean so much to us and because there's so much information and you're already overthinking, and a lot of times, let's be real, it never stops. Like our workday may stop, but like our brain is still thinking about that scenario like for the rest of the day nonstop. So like then it mixes up with all the other stuff that we've touched on before, like the imposter syndrome, but also the fear of like, well, what if I make the wrong choice? What if I did all this research and it's great and I finally like work myself up to like making action, like and taking it, and then it's the wrong decision, and that also can just hold people back.
Yeah, I agree. And when it comes to goal setting, you have to do that research. But I mean, literally, while you're researching every single time, or not researching, while you're planning, researching, that's what analysis paralysis is, right? No, but while you're planning and you're coming up with all of those things that it takes for you to achieve your desired outcome, which whether that's starting a business or figuring out how to market your business or whatever the case may be, look at those action steps. If you have more than 5, well, it's time to take action on something.
I agree.
And if you don't, then you're going to get caught, and you're never going to move forward in your business if you just get stuck in the planning phase or the research phase. It's important to take action because you have to fail to figure it out.
Yeah. And I think that can go back to like kind of things that we talked about. I think even the last meeting about having that clear plan and vision, because that can also help navigate you, because you are going to hit some form of like analysis paralysis at some point. It's just like a natural thing that happens, but having that plan laid out for you, saying, okay, revisiting it. This was my plan. And then, oh yeah, these are the steps that I need to get there. Because like your list can just keep going forever and ever. Amen. And so it's really important to me to remind yourself what direction you wanted to go in the first place, because then at least it will help you narrow down where you need to go.
Did you just sing a verse from Randy Travis's song?
You know, I love me some Randy Travis.
Oh, me too. Yes, yes. No, but I completely agree with you. And you know, I can't remember. I know I've done it many times on on my other podcast, but you know, talking about priorities. So setting
Yeah.
those priorities and analyzing them and taking action on the most important one.
Yep.
You know, if you can't do that, then you need somebody to help you, whether it's a community for free
Yep.
or a score mentor or a coach, which by the way, if you're starting a business is probably the most valuable investment that you could ever make in not just your business, but yourself, because there is so
Yeah.
much that you have to do, and talking those things through with another human being and then setting up that schedule of action items and then moving
Yeah.
forward with them is going to be the most valuable thing that you've ever done.
Yeah, I agree. And just being like, I always like to say, like, sometimes part of the reason that you're overwhelmed, I know for me, it's this way, like, is there's just too much on your list. So you need to take it. It's okay to like make little baby steps. Like, we mentioned it before, like really ironing out and having those priorities with your time management, because that's also, I think that's a factor that plays into this, is allowing yourself like an endless amount of time to do this one thing, and or whatever this decision is that you're doing. So I think having a cutoff time and making yourself have an end date, and maybe even say, okay, today I have 25 things on my list, but I'm going to get 2 things done. That's still at least doing something. And a lot of times just even doing something so mundane, making that a decision, helps you start making decisions for like other decisions you need to make. You just need to like make the first step.
Yep. And you know, you need a win, and that win
Yeah.
will motivate you. You know, you're going to
Mm-hmm.
have multiple, I'll call them failures, but what they are opportunities to learn how to change course. But you know, you need that. You need that.
Yeah.
And once you finally make a success, whether it's having somebody say, "Oh, I think that I'd like to refer this person to talk to you," or you know, maybe you land a client, or maybe your business finally gets formed and you have a product. You know, all of
Yeah.
these things are wins, and you should celebrate all of those. That way you're motivated to keep the planning and action taking going.
Yeah. Yep.
But don't get
And I
caught up
think
in each individual action item. Don't do it.
that's, yeah, that's exactly it. But it is really easy to get overloaded nowadays with us being so digital and having so many businesses that are digitally run. I mean, my business is run online.
Mhm.
Um, and it's really easy to get overstimulated and just overdone with all of it. So it's just good to be self-aware. I feel like I say this a lot, but it's really important, because you need to know when you need to take a step back or when you need to help or to reach out, because a lot of times you get in your own head, and the overthinking is a cycle, a vicious cycle, which is really what analysis paralysis is, just like a vicious cycle of like not making decisions, of being overwhelmed and overrun and overwork and overthinking, just all the things.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know, we are in the process and have been for a while. I mean, not real long in the bigger scheme of things, but we are building a community and we would love it. And it's a free community, incidentally. So we would like to have more and more entrepreneurs in that community. And by the way, showing up to our networking call, because if you don't have anybody to bounce these ideas off of, it's more likely that you're going to be stuck on certain things, or you're going to be going down rabbit holes and not have success. And by the way, sometimes you just need somebody to share what's happening, because there is a lot of struggle when you're first
Yeah.
starting out in any business. I don't care if you're a construction worker first going out and trying to get clients, or if you're an online person and you're trying to get clients. The struggles are still very similar, whether
Yeah.
you're meeting people in person or you're meeting people online. It really doesn't matter. People are people. But
Mm-hmm.
those people that are going through similar struggles can help you through those struggles and keep you from getting stuck wherever you're at. And by the way, if you don't build a community around your business, you're likely not going to receive success anyway, because that's how you make money, is you have people that can refer you out and talk to you about things and be your clients.
Yep. Yeah, and just learn from them.
And learn.
And I think like on the other side of like the fear of like making decisions and the whole indecision thing is like there's opposite of this cycle also that I think is important to talk about is that like need for being perfect, and that perfectionism or striving to be that way can also hinder you. So it's like the fear and then the want to be perfect can also contribute. And so I think it's important to just acknowledge both ends of the spectrum, because within the same person and the same decision making journey, you could be in both things. You could be fearful of making a decision because you're not sure it's going to be perfect, and just knowing that it's okay. And most of the time it gets better for you just to be real, to be transparent. I mean, not perfect, you need to be professional about it, but like just sharing like your real version of yourself and being authentic not only goes a long way with freeing yourself from this situation, but it also helps you connect with others and draw others to you, because it's you and your story and your like authenticity that is going to like attract people to you. And in turn, the end game is being able to connect and like making money with your business. I mean, it's a business. We do what we do because we're passionate about it, but we still want to like make a living off of it. So having that, just being that realness is just so important.
It is. And on the real side of things, I mean, we all go through things. I'm going to share an example of something that I'm currently going through and have been for probably close to a year. I'm a business owner, and I have a leadership training and coaching company, and there are so many things that I don't have the time to do. Well, when I get a client, I start falling short on a lot of the things in my business. I should probably hire a virtual assistant or an appointment setter or somebody to help me with a lot of these. You said the word mundane earlier, but it really, really is. It's just an overwhelming task that if you don't have time to do it, you're not going to get done. You're not going to get it done.
Yeah.
Am I a little bit afraid that somebody's not going to do the job and I'm going to start wasting money or whatever the case may be? Yes. But really that's just in here, because if I hire somebody to do the work, they're going to do it. I have been overthinking this off and on for quite a while. And if I do it, I mean, my gosh, it's going to make everything better. And it's so many things. Like there are, it's more than just marketing, right? It's website. It's every small thing that you could possibly have in your business, whether it's accounting or legal, which, by the way, if you don't have somebody to look at your books when you start making money, you should, whether it's a CPA or an just a regular accountant for one of those things they have online or whatever the case may be. But there are people out there to help with all these tasks, because once you start making money, you can't do it all alone.
Yeah.
And that's important. And talk to people that have been through that journey. They will tell you when you should do it. Not that you have to listen to them, but their journey is going to be different than yours. But if you get multiple stories, it'll help you figure these things out. And I can't even bring up enough examples, but getting stuck is not going to help you move forward. It's going to keep you where you're at right now.
Right. Yeah. And like what you said something about like making all those little tiny decisions, which was like, to me, your struggle with hiring out, like that would take that like decision fatigue away from you with all the little tiny decisions you have to make in the day, so you can focus on the big decisions you have to make. And so all of that can help you relieve it. But it is hard, because I think at least for hiring out, but for really anything, if you are like getting help, or that you're trying to make these decisions, your business is like your baby. Like you have birthed this and you have created this, and it means a lot to you. So of course you're going to overthink a lot of things because you want it to be right. And maybe that virtual assistant is not going to do it exactly the way you would have done it, but that's not really the point, right? The
No, it's
point is
not.
that are the jobs getting done?
Yep.
But it's hard for us to let go of that piece because we care so much. And
Yep.
I think that that's a good thing. That's a good thing to care so much. But you're right. Like, this is where having a community and talking to others who are going through the same thing can help you get to the point that you can let go a little, so that way you can grow. Because if you're hanging on so tight, you can't grow. Nothing's going to change. So, like, having that piece of community to help guide you in those decision making is really valuable. And like you said, every journey is going to be different. When
Yep.
you hire, or when I hire, if I ever hire, it's going to be it's going to be different because we're different, and that's okay too. But you can still learn from others and help navigate you through your decision making process.
Correct. And I think that's important. That's why it's important to build a community, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah.
Networking calls, going to your local chamber, or just going on Eventbrite or one of these other websites that has events, or even Google or Facebook. I mean, making sure that you're attending as many things that you can, so that you're around people that think like you do, that have been on similar journeys. I mean, every journey is different, but you're not going to learn about that journey until you experience it yourself and talk to other people who have done it. It's one of the reasons I do my podcasting, because I get to learn from those people. And, it's really hard sometimes to find an online networking group that's worth its weight in gold. I
It is
know
true.
that you're going to get, and you can go, that's actually a form of analysis paralysis, because you
It
can
is.
go into a group and be drowned out by people that are trying to sell you stuff, and then you can start trying to reach out to them because you think it might help you, and then it turns out it's going to just make you broke and all this other stuff, and it's a revolving wheel. That's another form of it. You got to
Yep.
find the community that will provide you with the type of people that they're not out for just selling you something. They're out to help each other learn and grow, and talk about these struggles that happen when you're trying to start a business. They're out there. That's what we're
Mm-hmm.
trying to build. We had one
Yep.
before that kind of shut down, and that's what we're trying to build back up again.
Mm-hmm.
But don't get caught in the rabbit wheel, or the wheel of talking to people that are trying to sell you something all the time, because that can take up all your time when you could be booking appointments with potential clients.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good point. It's really like, to me, like, it sounds a little simple, but you just have to really own your time and your mental state. Because, like, on the one hand, like, being a solo entrepreneur or a business owner, or even if you have coworkers or co-founders or whatever, you still need to manage your time well. And if you do that, that helps give you, again, that guiding. Having a schedule helps give you that guiding factor. It's a lot like your business plan. You have the end game, you have a goal, and you're working yourself to it. So if you know that you get stuck in rabbit holes, and say, okay, I'm setting a timer, and I'm going to look for networking groups or interact for 30 minutes. When the timer goes off, I'm moving on. And that is another way to help you, like, stop the endless vicious cycle of all the overloading, because it can get so much. And I just think, as a business owner, you don't have time to waste. And because every minute that you're investing in something that's you're not getting a return on is taking, like you said, is taking time away from
Yeah.
what is important. And
Yep.
so, like, but it is, on the other hand, because I don't want to seem like I'm saying, oh, put all your time and energy into your business. I don't think that's true either, because the other factor in my mind of being overwhelmed and having this like decision fatigue, and just being like in the inability to, like, make decisions, is also not taking care of yourself, and taking breaks and resting.
Yep.
Because you are a business owner, your mind is going at 1,000 miles an hour. You have 500 tabs on your computer, probably on 4 different screens, and, like, it's going nonstop. And so taking the time to say, okay, my workday is done now, and I'm going to take an hour to do whatever brings me joy, and I'm going to do these things, because taking care of yourself mentally and making sure that you're taken care of as a person will help you make those better decisions because you're going to be able to come at it refreshed and from a fresh perspective. So I feel like it's like this can affect you, but all the decisions that you're making in your life outside of work and at work can affect it also. So
Yep.
I think that's a really, to me, that's a really important factor. And I know for me, when I'm having this kind of endless cycle of overwhelm, it is because I'm not doing those things to take care of myself outside of work too, because I'm like, oh well, you know, I need to do this because if I don't do this, something's going to go wrong in my business. No, it'll be there when you get there. You don't need to rush to get it. And it's hard to remind ourselves that, but again, that's why you have community. So when you know you're like that, you can reach out to somebody like, please tell me that I need to stop right now. Like, this is where I'm at, and I need someone to be like, it's okay to not right now. Sometimes you just need someone else to say, yeah, you're right. You just need to take a minute.
Yep.
And it's hard. It's hard to allow ourselves to do that. But I think if and when we do those things, that helps us not be so overwhelmed with the rest of life.
Yes. By the way, I was looking around a second ago because I'm trying to figure out how you knew that I had so many tabs open on my computer.
Oh, you should see mine. I'm like, I got tabs on my phone. I have like 5 screens on my phone all pulled up. You know, I got like 3 different screens with like 25 tabs up. And that's how my brain is too, you know, and that's just work. That's not even my home life, y'all.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's why it's just so important to make those boundaries and all those things that we've talked about up to this point. If you do those things, making your business plan and making your schedule and creating those hard boundaries, creating a community, all of these little things that seem like they're not related to your business are the, honestly, to me, the foundation of creating a successful business, because
Yeah.
doing all these things are going to help you input the energy you need into your business.
So there are some tools. You know, they first of all, you need to be really, really good at, and if you're not now, do some research on this, but you need to be good at your decision-making process, because you need to know what works, what doesn't, how to decide what works and what doesn't. I think that's called a decision-making matrix. Everyone is probably going to have a different one for their business. It's almost like you have a different pipeline to put your customers through. Everyone makes decisions in a different way. I can't decide that for anybody, but you know, figure that out. In addition to that, I'm looking here, and there are a couple other tools. MK talked about one, but I'll get to that in a second. So, a cost benefit analysis.
Oh yeah, that's so good.
Oh my gosh. Well, you know what a cost benefit analysis is basically, you know, when somebody offers you something and you figure out how that can apply to your business, figuring out if that will make you money, and if it does make you money to pay for that thing, then is it going to be worth the time that you have to spend to use it, or whatever the case may be, which there are free tools out there for a lot of things too. So when you're first starting out, don't get stuck in all of these people advertising to you and just buy everything in the world, because there are free tools out there. We just got done for JMJ looking at all of those, and actually we're using a few of them and they're amazing. And so don't get stuck in feeling like you have to pay for everything right off the jump.
Yeah.
But the deadlines, if you are stuck in planning, we talked about this at the beginning of this call, but if you're stuck in planning, you have to get to the point where you're putting deadlines for yourself. And if you do have a business where you have employees, then making sure that you're setting deadlines for them as well. If you can't figure it out on your own, that's going to be very difficult. But, you know, if you have a deadline, that means you can start prioritizing, because that means you probably have multiple deadlines. That at that point, you can prioritize what is the most important, so you can work on each thing first, and then you can start adjusting the days that these need to be done and just work on it. Figure out how that benefits your mission. That's another way to figure out how to prioritize, because if it makes you more progress to do this thing and it doesn't take a lot of time to do it, then that should probably be your first priority.
Yeah.
If it takes a lot of time to do something, but it's going to be the most beneficial, Well, then you could probably work on other stuff while you're doing that, but give that a shorter deadline, and figure out what other sub tasks it'll take to get that thing done. There's a lot to talk about. That's what coaches are good for.
Yep.
That's what other industry leaders are good for. But if you're not good at decision making and prioritization and all that other stuff, the action taking thing is going to be very, very difficult. So that's, as far as analysis paralysis is concerned, if that's where it is, get help. I don't care if it's somebody who is a branding specialist, graphic designer, and a website person, with your branding, or if it's a coach to help you, just set and achieve goals. Honestly, it doesn't even have to be a business coach for that. You could have a life coach, because that's what any coach will do. Get one that is not ignorant to growing a business, because ignorance is not bliss. It does not work that way. Get somebody who at least partially understands the process, but can help you kind of organize your tasks in your head, and then hold you accountable for getting them done.
Yeah.
However,
and I think
make a decision.
Yeah. And like what you said, like you made a little comment about like, if that decision-making process is, if that's where like your hang up is. And I think it's important to like touch on that, because what you kind of insinuated is that your analysis paralysis for each person is going to be in a different place. Maybe it is in the planning. Maybe it's in the research. Maybe it's in the decision making. So really, and we know what our hangups are. Okay, like we know it. So like you said, it's important for you to really know where your hangups are, so you can get help for that specific area, and then that will help you get through to the next space. Like it's important to know that this isn't going to be the same again, like everything else. It's not going to be the same for everybody. Like
but if you don't know.
Exactly. You need to figure it out.
Get in a network and talk to somebody, talk to other people that have been on, if not the whole journey, at least part of the journey, so that you can figure out what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong based off of other things. Doing that comparison thing. Don't get stuck in that, because that's another form of analysis paralysis. But you got to learn what your strengths and weaknesses are before you can be a successful business owner, whether you have a team or you're a solopreneur.
Yep. Yeah, agreed. And just be confident in your decisions and in yourself. Like you know your business better than anybody, better than any coach does, better than any outsider. They can help you from their perspectives, but you need to just be confident in who you are, in your abilities to run this business, in your abilities to do this because you started a business, and like not everyone can do that, and you did it. So I think just owning the fact that you did this and that you can is also like an important thing, because, sometimes just that lack of confidence and that imposter syndrome can also be like a huge hang up. So I think like you've made it this far, just be confident in your abilities, and it's okay to be confidently sure that you need help.
Yeah.
You can be confident in that, and you can be confident that, okay, I suck at making decisions, and I need help with outlining my priorities or whatever. But just be confident in that, because it's better for you to own that and help, like, so you can get help, than it is for you to try to brush it under the rug. And then in the end, your business maybe doesn't succeed, or it doesn't maybe it's not as big as you'd like it, or it doesn't grow as fast, or whatever the case is. It's just better to do it.
Yeah. And, a wise leader once told me, and this is back from my military time, and it stuck with me, and I always use this. It's okay to screw things up. And I had a team at the time, so it applies a little bit differently when you don't, but it still applies to leading yourself. So when you take your people down the wrong path, that's okay. But you have to understand when to course correct. And so you're not going to, as a solopreneur, you're not going to understand when you need to course correct until you've started screwing things up. And I use this analogy all the time, and it resonates with people. They've told me this. When we were first young, as a child, we had to fall a ton before we could crawl and walk. and do all of those things. And if we had to screw up to succeed then what makes you think that it's any different now? We learn from trying and failing. If you never try, you never know.
Exactly.
So pardon my language, but make that shit happen. Let's go. Anyway, we're at 30 minutes. Yeah, but we're at 30 minutes. MK, do you have any final comments before we close this this podcast out, this live stream?
I think my end thing is just make sure that you are confidently self-aware and that you're okay reaching out for help, because it's really an important aspect of owning a business.
Yes. And if you're going to be a leader in your industry, you have to know when to reach your hand out and grab a lifeline. Exactly. If you don't, you're not a leader in your industry. You're not a leader at all. And you're probably not going to succeed in your business because you can't do it alone. You have to have others helping you. Yes. If you try to do it alone, I got caught up in my ego when I first started mine, and it took me a while to even understand what to do because I was just doing what I thought worked. When I started listening to other people, I learned what they were doing and I started applying some of that. That's when I had success. You can't do it alone, people.
Yep.
And if you think you are, I would probably still call you ignorant to your face because that's what you are. If you think you can do it alone, if you think you can do anything in your life alone, you probably need to take a step back and do an internal analysis. There's some things you can do, like make yourself food and do all the activities of daily living. So I'm not calling you ignorant for that, but starting something big like a business, no, that's a community project.
It is.
So anyway, that's all I have to say about that. If this information resonates with you and you feel like more people need to know it, first of all, join our doggone community on Facebook because it's going to help you, and be active in that community. Don't just show up as a fly on the wall. It's the Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance. But if you like what we said in here, then like it, subscribe to this channel, and next week in 2 weeks, we're going to start streaming to our own YouTube channel for JMJ Business Strategies and the Trailblazing Entrepreneur Alliance. But share this, repost it if you see this on LinkedIn, but most importantly, put a comment below so you can keep the conversation going, and we'll interact with you. We're not going to blow you off. Don't be afraid. We got this. We got you.
Yep.
And that's really all I have to say.
Yeah.
Take care.
We hope you have a great day.
Yeah. Have a great day, everybody.